Right now, your phone can tell you the exact temperature outside, down to the degree, and your thermostat can drop your living room 10 degrees before you finish making coffee. Now picture losing all of that. Right now, middle of a heat wave, no power. How long before your house becomes unbearable? 2 hours? 3? Somewhere in a desert, thousands of years before any of that existed, people didn't just survive that heat. In one place, they made ice, not stored from winter, not shipped in, made from scratch, in the open desert air, using nothing but mud, water, and a hole in the ground. A man actually saw this happen with his own eyes, centuries ago, and wrote it down because he didn't think anyone back home would believe him. We're ranking 3 ancient civilizations on the same brutal problem: survive extreme heat, with nothing but what the ground gives you. The third one did something so effective that engineers today are still running physics simulations, just to explain how it worked. Start over 4,000 years ago, on the banks of the Nile. You're inside a mud brick house at midday. There's no glass in the windows, no fan, nothing metal to speak of. The air outside is thick enough to feel like a hand pressing against your skin, and for months at a time. Sitting inside without help isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. So, someone hands you nothing more than a clay jar of Nile water and a woven fan, and tells you to wait by the window. Tomb paintings from Thebes, dating back roughly 4,500 years, show exactly this: a servant filling that jar, then fanning the air just above it, out toward the room, over and over, for hours. Feel the air move across your skin in that scene, and it's noticeably cooler than the air outside the window. That's not comfort magic, that's physics. As air passes over water, some of it evaporates, and evaporation pulls heat directly out of the air. The breeze reaching you is measurably colder than the breeze that left the jar. But Egyptians didn't stop at fanning water by hand. They built for it structures called malqaf, triangular wind-catching towers set into rooftops. Appear in tomb depictions oriented to face the cooling north breeze, and funnel it straight down into the house. They hung wet reeds and wet cloth across doorways too, so any breeze passing through picked up that same cooling effect. No servant required. Here's the catch, and it's a real one. This only works in dry heat. Evaporative cooling barely functions in humid air, because the moisture has nowhere to go. And a wind catcher only works when there's wind. On a still dead air day, you're back to a hot house with a jar of water, and nothing else. Egypt proved the concept. Cool a breeze with water and airflow. But it took another civilization to scale that idea into something built for an entire city. Now jump to Mohenjo-daro, a Bronze Age city in the Indus Valley, built around 2500 BCE, home to an estimated 40,000 people. This time, it's not one house. It's an entire dense city, packed with courtyard homes, in a semi-arid climate with brutal summer heat. And somebody has to solve this for everyone, using nothing but baked mud brick. Walk down one of these streets at noon, and the walls on either side are nearly blank. No windows facing you. Every opening you'll find faces inward, toward a private interior courtyard instead. That's deliberate. Streets bake in direct sun all day, and radiate that heat straight back at anyone standing in them. Courtyards, tucked behind thick brick walls, stay shaded and stay cooler. So the air entering a home was pulled from the coolest pocket of air on the whole property, never the hottest. The walls do their own work too. Thick baked brick has high thermal mass, meaning outside heat takes much longer to transfer inward, so the inside of a home lags behind the wild swings of outdoor temperature by hours. The city layered on rooftop wind-catching devices too, conceptually close to what a later civilization would perfect, funneling breeze down into homes and public buildings. And Mohenjo-daro solved something no one else on this list matched at the same scale: public and private wells across the entire city, paired with one of the earliest known covered drainage systems on Earth. Heat management and water management worked together, instead of against each other. Here's the part that's easy to miss. We don't know a single name of the engineers who designed this. The Indus script has never been deciphered. An entire civilization solved city-scale cooling for tens of thousands of people, and their own words about how they did it are sitting right in front of archaeologists. Completely unreadable. The catch here is real too. This system worked at the level of a building, not a substance. Mohenjo-daro could keep a house several degrees cooler than the street outside. Genuinely impressive engineering, but it couldn't do the one thing that makes the next civilization on this list sound almost impossible. It couldn't make something colder than the coldest thing already around it. So what's left? What could possibly beat a shaded courtyard and a wind tower? In 1677, an English traveler named John Fryer was riding through the desert outside Shiraz, in what's now Iran. He was a physician by training, a careful, literal-minded observer, not the type prone to exaggeration. And what he saw stopped him. Massive domed buildings, rising up out of flat desert ground, and inside them, packed and stored, ice, in a place where the summer air regularly passed 100 degrees. Fryer wrote it down anyway, describing what locals told him plainly. This ice wasn't carried in from some distant mountain. It was made, right there, every winter, using nothing but shade, water, and the night sky. The structure is called a yakhchal, literally, ice pit. The oldest known examples date back roughly 2,400 years. Here's how it actually worked, step by step. In winter, underground aqueducts called qanats diverted water into shallow channels built beside tall shading walls. During the day, those walls blocked the sun, keeping the water cool. At night, in the open air, that shallow water radiated its heat straight up into the clear desert sky and froze, even though the air itself never dropped below freezing. That's not insulation. That's a real physical process called radiative cooling, one that architects today are only now formally modeling with thermal simulation software to understand exactly how efficient it really was. Workers harvested that ice before sunrise, every night, all winter, and moved it into the yakhchal itself, a domed structure that could rise close to 60 feet, built from a specialized mortar called sarouj, sand, clay, lime, goat hair, and ash, engineered specifically to resist heat transfer. Underground pits, some large enough to hold thousands of cubic meters of ice, kept it frozen through the entire brutal summer. Many yakhchals were paired with bed gears, wind catcher towers combined with the qanat water below, to actively chill incoming air before it even reached the ice chamber. Shade and darkness to make ice with no mechanical help. Purpose-built thermal mass to store it for months. Active airflow to keep the whole structure cold. 3 separate physical principles, stacked into one building, by people with no concept of a compressor or a refrigerant. Fryer rode away from Shiraz and kept writing about it for the rest of his book, because he knew what he'd seen would sound made up to anyone reading it back in England. Ice, in the desert, made on purpose, by hand. Egypt proved the core idea: water plus moving air equals cooler air. The Indus Valley scaled that idea into an entire shaded, ventilated city for tens of thousands of people, using engineering knowledge whose own written record we may never be able to read. And Persia took the same basic ingredients, shade, water, air, and used them to do something that still sounds like a trick, making ice from nothing but nighttime desert air. The evaporative cooler humming in someone's garage right now, or the swamp cooler running on an office roof, works on the exact same principle as that servant fanning a jar of Nile water 4,500 years ago. Architects designing buildings in hot, dry climates today are studying badgirs and yakhchal-style thermal mass directly, trying to cut down how much mechanical air conditioning a building needs in the first place. Somewhere right now, someone will complain their AC is acting up, then go stand in front of an open refrigerator for 30 seconds of relief, and never think about it again. John Fryer stood in front of a domed building in the middle of a desert, looking at ice he knew shouldn't exist there. And he wrote it down, because he was afraid no one would believe he'd actually seen it. He was right to worry. People still don't believe it, they just haven't seen the building yet. If you had to survive a heat wave with zero electricity, using only shade, water, and airflow, which one of these 3 systems would you actually want protecting your house? Drop your pick below. And if this one got you, next time, we're ranking 3 ancient civilizations on how they moved massive stone blocks without a single crane. You will not believe what one of them used instead of wheels.